Okay, so I've created a rough outline into how I'm going to build this out. This Google reviews scraper to see and analyze what your competitors, customers are complaining about. And to do this, we're going to be using a tool called Bright Data to scrape all of this information, all the Google reviews. Then we're going to extract the recent reviews for your competitors' businesses, or business, it should say, probably business. And then we're going to pass for negative sentiment or keywords. And now I come to think of it, I think I would also add positive. So you can see also what are they doing well? Because then you could possibly identify, hey, they're doing this wrong. Let's make sure we don't do this. And then you could also analyze, hey, they're doing this right. Let's also do that. And lastly, an email weekly digest to yourself. So we'll look into that. We could do that, or we could just add it to something like a Google Sheet. Maybe we could do both. I think an email could definitely be interesting. Get an AI summary of saying, "Hey, this is what happened this week." Um, and yeah, I think that could be interesting. Definitely be interesting. And yeah, so that's all I've done. I think the best way to approach this is to find the scraper. And I do know the scraper I want to use, and it's a Google one. So I'm going to search in the domains, google.com. So here we are in Bright Data. I'm in the web scrapers section. I'm going to search in google.com, and the one we're looking for is this first one, Google Maps reviews, collects by URL. Then we're going to do the no-code scraper as per usual. Just do this normal practice of I tend to like to ensure that everything's correct and all my inputs are correct, and then run the scraper within the third-party app before connecting it to make.com through an HTTP request. I'm going to run you through every single step, so if all of this sounds unfamiliar, then just bear with me. I think I'm going to limit this result to one review. I just want to ensure that the input I put in is correct. And what's this days limit? Number of days to retrieve reviews from the current date backwards. Okay, so it already has this built in, which is very good. And it says number of days, which is nice because then I don't have to specify an actual date. I can just say, hey, I want to scrape 14 days back from today, or 7 days. I'll probably do 7 days if we run this once a week to analyze a whole bunch of different competitors you might have, and then compile them into a weekly digest email for yourself. So I think maybe I just do HVAC. I guess that's one of the most common. You could also do something like, where are we? Google Maps. Places, is this it? Places, sites. Where's Google Maps? Okay, let me Google Maps. Or is this Google reviews? Yeah, Google Maps reviews. HVAC. Where am I? Where am I? In Antwerp. I want to be in Antwerp. Brussels. Antwerp, Brussels. Let's be in Brussels. Okay. So HVAC Brussels. I think I've conducted a search. There's actually not that many. I feel like that's not much. Anyway, I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to paste it in here into this URL section. And then I'm going to limit it. I'll limit it to 3. Include errors, start collecting. Now let's see if this runs and if it collects what I want it to collect. So again, I like to run the scraper natively within the third-party app, and in this case, that's Bright Data, to ensure that I have the correct inputs, so that if I don't, if there did happen to be an error, then I would know that it's something wrong with my input, whereas if I went straight to the HTTP request within the API request in make.com, and then got an error when making a request to Bright Data, I wouldn't know if it's something wrong with my input or it's something wrong with um, the API request itself. I mean, generally you would get some error notification, but I just like doing it this way. I think it streamlines things much more for me. I kind of established this routine where I always do this, and it's worked pretty well. So, yes. This is going to take a second to load. It says it takes around a minute per output, so this could take up to 3 minutes. Before it did not take 3 minutes. If I go back here to web scrapers, before new collector, before I scraped 3, where are we? In here, maybe logs? Yeah, before it took 28 seconds to scrape 4. It did not take anywhere near 3 minutes. I might just pause this for a second and get back to you once it's done. Oh, so the scraper finished running and it outputted 0 records. So this is partly why I wanted to do this. Because you can see here, number of records is 0, but there should be something there. So that indicates that something is indeed wrong. Goggle. Indeed wrong with my search URL. I'm not sure completely what's wrong. I think maybe we have to just copy this. And because everything after this seems to be like coordinates. And I don't think coordinates is necessary. Or I don't think this scraper wants it at least. So let's go here, Google Maps, collects by URL. Let's go no code again. Because what URL does this have? No, this has coordinates. Data. Entry TTU. Yeah, there's the TTU there. This. Unless there was no reviews in the last 9 days, that could be a possibility. Where's reviews? No, 5 days ago there. So there should be one there. This is 140. 7 months ago. 7 months. Okay, this is a good while ago. Reviews. 7 months. Yeah, so these are all 7 months ago. Maybe I need to, because I want to confirm that it's not the URL, and it maybe perhaps it's just because I put that limit on it, because that could definitely be a possibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this exact URL again. I'm going to paste it in there, and I'm going to remove the days limit. I'm going to limit the number of outputs to 3 and start collecting. I'm then going to get back to you guys once this finished running. Okay, so I'm going to continue running this in the meantime, but I think I realized just all of a sudden what the issue was. And I'm going to show you in just a second. Gonna go back to the scraper. I think the issue is because it's a collect by URL, I have to choose a specific business. So I'm going to choose this one because it's had a review in the last 5 days. Then, now that I have this one open with the review section open, I think if I copy this URL now, I should be able to scrape results, I'm hoping. There we go. Now I'm going to test this. I'm going to go back and see what the output was with the other one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was also 0. Yeah, it was 0. And it takes longer, and I think it took longer because the URL was invalid. Hopefully this one is correct because I've opened this and opens the review section. So hopefully this means it is now valid, and yeah, hopefully that is the case. Again, I'm going to wait and get back to you guys once it's finished. Okay, so that was much quicker this time because it did work. We can see we have one record, i.e. one review, which would likely be this review right here because that's the most recent. The one before that was 2 months ago. So this should be okay. Now we can start making API requests to it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to the Google. And then I'm going to choose the same one and this time choose Scraper API. Click Next. Then what I'm going to do is go to API Request Builder. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is head back over to make.com, search in Bright Data, scroll all the way down to make an API call. Now we need a request URL along with some other fields. So let's head back into Bright Data. I'm going to delete one of these fields. And you can see when I add or delete things, this right-hand side automatically gets updated. You can see there. And if I delete this field, this will collapse. You can see it got smaller. Now I want to limit multiple results. So being able to limit the amount of reviews that I want. I'm just going to put 3 there for now. I also want to send to a webhook once the scraper has finished. So once we initiate the scraper, I want a webhook to automatically be notified once we finish this. So a webhook being just a place we will send a notification to once the scraper has finished scraping all of the reviews off of Google Maps. And to do that, I want to add a webhook right now. So I'm going to open a new tab and then I'm going to create a new scenario. I'm actually going to go back and manually create a new one. There we go. And I'm going to search in webhook here. I'm going to select custom webhook. Then I'm going to add a new hook and I'm going to call it example Bright Data Google Maps scraper. And then down here, this is extremely important you tick this. Tick JSON pass-through. This will allow the data to be passed from the scraper into this webhook, and then later on we will format it. Now we need to copy address to clipboard. Command is to save, and we're going to simply copy this URL here. We're also going to test this URL to make sure it works. So I'm going to run this, Command Enter, and then test webhook. Test is successful. We can double check it was by heading back into here, and it was indeed. We get provided with a bunch of JSON. It might look a bit ugly at the moment, but we're going to format it. So if it looks a bit overwhelming, don't worry. We're going to make it look nice. All of that data. Okay, so now I think we have all the fields. We don't need to send it compressed or force deliver. And I don't want a custom output schema. So now we can look into this authenticated request part. And we can see we need a header, an authorization header. So if we head down here, we can add a header. The key is going to be authorization. And then under this bearer, we also know it's a header because there's a dash and an H representing a header. And then we copy all of this value. This long string here, which I'll show you, it will be more displayable in make.com. You can see this string here is simply your Bright Data API key. Fortunately, Bright Data does this all for us, so they make it super, super easy. Something I did not know at the start. Header. Header is already in there, fortunately, from make.com. And everything after this D representing data, and also, which also means JSON. This data, we're going to copy from here to here. But I'm going to exclude the quotes. I'm going to say from the first square bracket to the end square bracket. And then I'm going to come over here and say format JSON. I do this just to make it look a bit nicer. Also, can I do it in here? Before I couldn't for some reason. I can. I can just come to jsonformatter.org and make it look more neat, so it's more readable for me. And then I'm going to paste that down here in the body section, paste it right there. This is the URL to the Google Maps that we're going to be using to scrape competitors. And you can add as many of these as you want, as many businesses as you want, we can add in here. And I mean, I'd recommend adding more than one because as you saw back in here, there was one 5 days ago, and then it went to 2 months or something, then 6 years, 3 years, 11 months. I mean, it's not in order, but you can imagine how the more businesses you gather in your area, like there's a lot of HVAC companies in Brussels. Like there was way more than this. I was scrolling for a while before. I'm sure there was more. Back to top. Huh. Well, for example, if I had an HVAC company in Brussels, I would scrape all of these guys in Brussels and probably some surrounding ones as well, just to see what they like. And it could even be worth getting people in even a wider area just to see what they're doing. But it depends what you want. It depends what your needs are like. But I'll definitely use all of these businesses and add them into this JSON. And the way you would do that is I'd simply say, I'll go here and I'll do this. This is all I'll do to add more businesses to track. Can you take this JSON and add, say you wanted to add 6 more business URLs to it, 6 more chunks duplicating this part essentially. And then this is all you need to do. You can have no idea what you're doing, just ask ChatGPT, and it's going to duplicate this 6 times. Hopefully, yeah. So now it's going to add these 6 times, and then all we will have to do is for each new time, just replace the URL. I'm going to show you this in a second. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it back in here. This is what I'll do. Put it there, and now you can see it's a bit longer. It might look a bit more overwhelming, but there is the original Google Maps URL, and then so that represents business 1. Then say you wanted another business, I'll delete everything in between these 2 quotes. Make sure you still have those 2 quotes there. And we're going to insert a new reviews URL right there. So I'd come here. What business do I want now? This one has 76 reviews. Let's click on that. Click on the review section. That's one I just got, I think. So let's do this one. Let's click reviews. And wait for this to load. I'm not sure if we do have to wait for this to load or not, but we'll wait. And then I'll just copy this URL and I would head back to make.com, paste it between these 2 quotes. There we go. Zoom out, and then I'll do the same with the other ones. Oh, something doesn't look right. I'm going to delete, this is actually probably what I'll do first. I would delete all of the current URLs. Very important to keep those quotes still there. And then I would add each new URL or link to the business that you want to scrape their reviews from. And then I could do this one as well. Go reviews, do the exact same thing, copy the URL. Copy the URL, or not bright data. Paste it in between these quotes, and just rinse and repeat for as many businesses as you want. If you want to expand the JSON, add even more businesses, then all I would do is go back to ChatGPT, say, hey, can you add some more sections to this where I can paste some more URLs in? That's literally all I'll do, and I just rinse and repeat like that. Adjust your days limit. Do you want to, at the moment this is set to 18 days, maybe you want it 7, I'll do 7 probably. And I'm going to set it to 7. And yeah, for now, I think I might actually keep this one because this had over 1,000 reviews, which is pretty wild. But I cannot see anyone within like the past few days. Maybe a couple months ago to a year ago, really. Yeah, none of them are recent, so I'm going to keep the one I already had. Can you filter these comments, I wonder? Reviews. Sort. Newest. 5 days ago, a week ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So this is actually pretty, wow, I've lost my train of thought. Pretty recent. Yeah, that's okay. I think that's okay. So I'm going to keep this one. I think this is the one that I'm going to keep. So yes, delete all this. Can I delete this? Yes, delete. I'm going to keep this URL this time. I'm going to delete all of this. Believe up to there. Okay. Now, I've got this URL. I'm going to limit it to, yeah, 18 days. Why not? And then we need a request URL, which is down the bottom here. It's this entire thing. And we just simply paste that in there. We must delete this first part because we only need what we call the path, which is everything. What have I done? Which is everything after this. Everything after this is the path. You can also see some little instructions down here set by make.com. Enter everything after, relative, or after the the root, I guess, which is this. For example, /request. Ours is this. And you can see it looks a bit overwhelming. Our webhook is actually in here. It's been encoded in here. It's under endpoint equals, and then our webhook. I won't get too much into this, but basically they've encoded our webhook so that a notification will be sent to this webhook once the scraper has finished. And dataset ID is basically the ID to the scraper, which you can also find in the URL. If you head over to your scraper and look in the URL, this GD, and then underscore with a little ID there, that is the ID to this scraper, to this Google Maps review scraper. And then we've got the limit multiple results. So how many reviews do you want to scrape per inputs? And I've just set it to 3 for testing. I might even set it to 2, just because I want this to be as quick as possible. And the method will be post. Can you see this in here? I just know it will be post because we're wanting to perform an action within bright data. So just set it to post. Just set it to post, the method. And now we can test this out. So I'm going to run this, see if it works. Parser cannot pass input unexpected characters. Okay, this JSON is not valid. There we go. There we go. I messed the JSON up a little bit when I deleted it. Now we get a snapshot ID that we can use, but we're not going to use. Sometimes you'd use it to download the snapshot content. Basically, what downloading the snapshot content means is if we go download snapshot content bright data, you can go to their API and download the snapshot content. Basically, what this does is it downloads the data that the scraper scrapes. But for us, we don't need to do this step because the data is automatically passed on to this webhook. You can see it's already arrived. When I try to run it, we get a use existing data, which means the scraper has already finished scraping. So I'm going to use this data. Then we get this value. It's a very ugly string, but don't worry, we are going to format this. We're going to add another module, go to search in JSON, and then go path JSON. The JSON string is going to be the value. And then we're going to scrape this again. So we can test and see how nice this actually looks. And here I'm also going to rename it. I'm going to say #1. Trigger bright data Google Maps scraper. Then in here, we can also confirm it's running. If we head back into bright data web scrapers, then it is finished now. So it's already been triggered, which is cool. Now, if we look in here, we can see it's much nicer. We have two bundles from 2 reviews, I believe. 2 reviews? Because we only had one company, one URL in here, right? Yes, only one URL. I limited it to 2. Yes, that's correct. So we got 2 reviews. Let's see what we got. We got the reviewer URL. The URL, I guess that's to the review itself. Not sure, that's taking a bit too long to load. Profile picture, where's the comment? I want the review itself. Unless, because I noticed some didn't have any review content. Name, country address. I was saying review rating is 5. Tris profesional. Profesional. Is he Spanish? Okay, so we do have that. And what did this guy say? Where is it under review? This guy said nothing, just left a 5-star. Having just a review, the star rating could be helpful as well. So what we're going to do now is, if I go back to here, we're scraping Google review pages. Extract recent reviews from competitor businesses. We've kind of already done that as well. Pass for negative sentimental keywords. I might just process it all together and create some sort of qualitative report where we take all the data, we feed all the data in, and then we just create one big report that we then send out an email. We could also possibly create a Google Sheet, but I'm trying to find, what's the value in creating a Google Sheet, perhaps seeing the review itself. Maybe you have like a positive and negative reviews sheets. But if this is running once a week, would you want that? I'm thinking what's the best way to approach it, because I was thinking maybe you have like a sheet that you attach in the email, and then you have like positive, and then you add another one and you write it like negative, and then you have like the review or link, and then you just do that in both of them, right? And then you'll do it here. But then you'll be creating a bunch of new Google Sheets each week, or you'll create 2 each week. I'm just thinking, do we create like only an email, or do we do this as well? Could this be good to do? Providing the review itself. I think it could be good to do. I think we will do it. Yeah, let's do it. Reviews. I'll just name it this for now. Google Maps reviews, and then I'll have the date or something within the name, like the date. For now, I'll just say that. And so what we're gonna do is, I think then I'm gonna add a row to a Google Sheet for now. So I'm gonna select Google Sheets, add a row, and then I'm just gonna manually enter this, and the spreadsheet ID is gonna be this. But after, I'm going to create a sheet within this automation. But for now, I'm just going to use this one for testing purposes. And the sheet ID, the sheet name is actually this. And then the column range is A to Z. So we'll actually have to use 2 modules. So I'll have to say this one is the positive sheet. And I'll duplicate this. And then I'll go, this is the negative. So if I go here, I copy this sheet name. I paste that in there. Go save, rename. Negative sheets. No, sheet. Sheet. Okay, and then we would actually need a router. Yes, we would need a router. And then we'd also need to analyze whether a review is positive or negative. So to do that, I'm going to add an iterator to iterate through each individual URL. I was thinking, although this might not need to, because I think we still would need to do that. Yeah, so we'll add a URL there. Then I'm going to set a variable just to ensure this runs twice. I could do any. I'm just going to do that. Run this. Now we'll wait for the notification to come here, and what I'm doing is I inserted this random node here, this get variable. It has no functionality that we're going to use. I'm going to delete it straight after this, but I just want to confirm that this module here runs 2 times because we have 2 reviews we scraped. Yes, it does run 2 times. Also, this runs 2 times. So we could probably keep it at this. Yes, we are. So that's good. Now we have the URL. But I don't actually want to iterate the URL. I want to iterate the review. The review, I don't think it actually matters. But now we're going to open AI because we're going to use ChatGPT create a completion to analyze whether this is a positive or negative review. Or if it's neutral, we could also add a neutral sheet, or like no review, only star rating. We could add something like this. Oops. Let's add that. Before I do that, I'm going to clone this. Clone. Let's not connect. Let's connect to this for now. Rename. That's cancel. Open this up. Sheet name is going to be this. We're going to unlink that. And then we're going to open this again. We're going to do 4.1. We're going to do this. This doesn't need to be much at all. Maybe 300. We're going to do system. I'm going to say you are a helpful, intelligent review analyzing assistant that analyzes reviews for companies on Google Maps to determine whether the reviews are positive, negative, or there is simply no review at all. Positive or negative. I'm just going to keep it at that. Google Maps, helpful. Then I'm going to add another role. It's going to be user this time. And I'm going to paste that here. And I'm going to say your job is to analyze reviews to see whether the reviews are positive, negative, or there is no review at all. If the review is positive, reply with positive. If the review is negative, reply with negative. If there is no review, reply with no review. I'm going to add some rules. Do not add any comments around your answer. Comments or quotes around your answer. Only respond with positive, negative, or no reviews, or no review. Okay, and then I'm going to add another message. It's going to also be a user. Here is the review. Where is it? Review. Star rating. Review rating. Okay, I think this is okay. I'm going to run this to see what it comes up with. I'm going to run the scraper again and let's see what it does. Let's give it a second. I'm only scraping 2 reviews, so it shouldn't take too long to load. It is taking a second. Let's head over to Bright Data. It is currently running. I might pause this again and get back to you guys once it's finished. Okay, so it finished running. And here is the response. Result is positive. One thing, because this array is empty. That's why it didn't run. And so, because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead iterate over the review rating itself so that this runs twice next time. But what was it? Tres profesional. Like my Spanish. So that is true. That is indeed positive. We're going to connect these all together. Positive sheet, no review sheet. And then between these, I'm going to say the result is equal to positive. Here, the result is equal to negative. And here, did I say no review? I believe I said no review. No review. Yes. No review. The result is equal to no review. No review. Negative. And then positive. Generally, I don't like routers. I don't. This makes it look, for me at least, a bit confusing. Or a bit, I don't know. I don't enjoy the look of routers. But I'll keep it at that. I was going to try to do some switch node, switch module. If result is equal to positive output. Yeah, no, I'm just going to keep it with a router. I thought maybe I could do something, just ignore what I did. I'm going to keep it at this. I'm going to auto align it. Now we can start mapping the fields in here. So the positive one, what do we have it like? You know what I also want? I want a, okay. I want a rating. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here, paste it there. So if the review, the rating, and the review link. So review and rating. Review is first, which is here, review. And the rating, and then the review link, which I assume is this. I assume it's that. And that will be the same for all of these. So the review, where is it? Review, rating, URL, this one. Let's do this one more time. Review, rating, URL. Okay. Cool, and now that we've done that, I think maybe actually this is what we should do last. So this will go right at the end. Or no, because I want to add this Google Sheet URL into... Yes, I want to add this Google Sheet URL into the weekly email. So what I'm going to do is down these paths is... I'll start with this top path. Is what do we want to do? I think we want to aggregate it together. Like aggregate all of the reviews together. Yes, yes. This might not be the best way to do it, but just bear with me. Source module is going to be the JSON. The text is going to be, what's the text going to be? I think the text will be the reviews themselves and the rating. And the review and the rating. So I'm going to say review. And then I'm going to say rating. And then I'm going to say company name. So I'm going to try aggregate all this together and name it before feeding it into AI. What else might we need? We have the review, the rating. Overall rating. Time of rating, I think could also be good. The timestamp there. Okay. I'm going to run this and run the scraper again, and it should go down this path because it's going to be the same reviews. So let's see what it does. And whatever we do with this top path, I'm just going to copy and paste for the other paths. That's also why I tend to not like to use routers all the time, because then I'm kind of duplicating the same logic across 3 different paths. And yeah, you can imagine how that can start to become a pretty clunky automation when it doesn't really need to be. But yeah, I think this is the only way. The reason I think that is because we have 2 different sheets. Yes. So let's look at this. We have the review, the overall rating. There's no company name in the second one. There is no review, which is correct. But why is there no company in the second one? Oh, the company is here. It did the same one 2 times, which is right. Because we're only scraping one company. Yes, that's right. So the company's there, and what I want to do is go show advanced options, row separated by a tab. So this just makes sure that this won't happen. For example, like in here, we can see that company name and overall rating is together. But by enabling that function we just enabled, or that option we just enabled, this instead will be added to a new line down here. So it looks a bit nicer and it's a bit more visually pleasing for us. Also, while I'm at it, I might rename this #2 get scraped data, analyze sentiment, add to Google Sheet, send qualitative email. Add to Google Sheet. I'm thinking whether we create a new scenario instead. Because if we have multiple different companies that we scrape, this webhook will be triggered at different times. But I take that back already. That's not going to be the case. This is okay. I thought that this webhook would be triggered at multiple times, but because we add we can add multiple different URLs in this JSON. We don't need to do that because this trigger will be triggered once, all of the information will be sent here, and then the email will be sent. Although before we send the email, we might not send the email in this one. Because if there's multiple different paths that go down here, each having an email module, then they'll send like multiple different emails when they don't need to. For example, yeah, that just wouldn't work. Because depending on the sentiment, whether it's positive, no review, or negative, the automation will always finish down their paths. And if we have an email node at the end of this path, then it'll send an email then, and then maybe the next review there is a negative review, it'll go down this path, and if there's an email module there also, then it will send an email there, and then it'll start sending out multiple emails when it doesn't need to. So I'll have to figure out what to do there. Yeah, I'll have to figure out what to do. I'll have to figure out, I guess, maybe the best approach to this is figuring out what day are we going to send this, and then the day we send it, what time of the day are we going to send it, and then when I figure out what time of day we're going to send it, I will schedule with a normal trigger a module in another scenario to run at a specific time once I know this information will comfortably be scraped. And then that brings me to think, well, do we need to do this, or could we put it all within a Google Sheet first and then use these Google Sheets to fetch that information? Possibly. I'm just thinking about sending the email now and creating the qualitative reports about how we're going to do this, because there's multiple different sheets. Maybe we could put it all within one sheet for the qualitative report in particular. That could actually be the best way to do it. So we have these paths that are by themselves. I might still keep this. But these paths are kind of the end. And then let's move this down. And then we have some, this can probably go here as well. And then before that, we could what could we do? We could maybe aggregate it at the start, but no, we need these sheets to be created to be able to link to them. Yes, we do. Maybe we have bundles here. Alright, we have bundles. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. The first stage is to aggregate everything together, and then I'm gonna create the qualitative report. And I think to do that, I'm not sure whether I can just remove this for now, put that over there, and put this here, and aggregate that together. Let me see how this works. I'm going to run this again. Wait for this to run. So basically what I'm going to do, what I'm planning on doing, is creating a filter down here, which basically says, hey, when the last bundle has been run, I want you to go down this path. I'm going to add a filter to do that. So with each bundle you get in make.com, they have a bundle order position and also a total number of bundles, which are numbers. And total number of bundles might be 20, and your bundle order position, i.e. what bundle, what section of data, what chunk of data have you processed up to. It starts at 1, the bundle order position, and when a flow completes through your automation, the second bundle will then start to be processed, and then the automation will go with that data. Then the third bundle will be processed, And then the fourth data will be processed through your automation and so on. And that's the bundle order position, tracking which chunk of data your automation is currently processing. And then the total number of bundles is the total amount of chunks of data that your automation is going to process. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. If it didn't, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. Okay, I'm going to see where this is up to because it is taking a little while. It's taking a little while longer than I would like it to. I might just stop it for you guys and come back to you once it's finished. Okay, so it took a bit longer that time. It took around 2 minutes. Yeah, around 2 minutes. We need to run this. Run anyway. Use existing data. Now let's see what this output is. Do we get 2 ratings? Yes, we do. Overall rating, okay, so this didn't split up like I thought it would. But anyway, we got the 2 ratings, which is good. Then what I'm going to do, instead of tab, I'm going to do new row. That's my bad. I thought it was new row. Now it's new row. So now we have all this information. All I'm going to do is feed all of this into AI to create a qualitative report. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go OpenAI. I'm going to create a completion. Then I'm going to say model. Model, I'll do 4.1. I just thought of something that might affect this, and I'll show you in a second. Okay, so we're going to carry on. Develop a system. You are a helpful, intelligent. What are you? Report generating assistant. Generating writer that analyzes reviews of my competitors in the HVAC industry in Belgium to come up with a qualitative report. Qualitative report just being a report on all of the information that it provides. Your job is to create a qualitative report on my competitors' recent reviews, both positive and negative. I want your report to be reflectant of the reviews themselves and be comprehensive and to reflect the reviews themselves. What else do we need? To only base your conclusions and evidence of the provided reviews and information I provide. Do not add any other information from the internet. Says the rules. Put your report in a readable format for an email. Make sure your report is in readable format for email. Just text. I don't want HTML. Second one, what do we need? Let's say do not add any comments or quotes around your report. Only respond with the report. Okay, then I'm gonna add another user. Here are the reviews along with some additional information. And then I'm going to paste in this text here that we've aggregated from all of the reviews. Create email digest. Create the email digest. Compile reviews together. Pass JSON. Beautify JSON. Beautify the JSON. Okay. I'm going to attach this temporarily so I can format this nicely. Then I'm going to run this and I want to see the outputs that ChatGPT provides. So I'm going to wait for this to scrape and then get back to you guys once this has finished. Oops, okay, so it's finished now. It didn't take as long as last time, and now let's see the report that we got, the result. So we got overview. Ajusto currently holds an average rating of 4.4. Generally high customer satisfaction, recent reviews, positive feedback, one specific review. Okay, this is good. Areas lacking the content of reviews is minimal with one review containing only a rating. No additional commentary. Feeling high satisfaction. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say also on rules, be general, be relatively general when more information comes through. We have a Google Sheet for we have a Google Sheet database for specific details. Think of this like a weekly email digest. Google Sheet. Okay, that should be okay. And now this needs to go. These two need to go because I want to provide the Google Sheet link up here. And I think I'm going to move this back. So I'm going to move some things around. This is going to be a new path in the the router, sorry. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to, then for each of these, I'm going to set a variable. Set variable. I'm going to name this sheet ID. And the sheet ID is going to be... No, we don't have to do this. We can just add this because we are going to be creating a Google Sheet down here, right? So we can do this. We can go here and then we could add a module here. Because each week I want to add a Google Sheet, right? I want a new Google Sheet with fresh data from the recent reviews. So I don't want to add it to the same sheet each week. So I'm going to create a Google Sheet, create a spreadsheet. The title is going to be Google Maps reviews, Google Maps competitors reviews, and then I'm going to add the date. So I'm going to go over to this one. I'm going to do format date now. I want to do day, month, and then year. There we go. Then I'm going to save that so I can also have a date timestamp on when this review came through. And I'm going to rename this to analyze sentiment of reviews. Then I'm going to auto align again. Create new sheet. Then actually, instead of creating a sheet, I'm going to delete that. Add a module. I'm going to go into Google Sheets and template. Create a spreadsheet from a template. Template ID. I'm going to enter this manually. This template sheet ID is going to be this. Although I don't think this works. I think I have to explicitly state whether this is a template or not. So I don't think this is going to work, but it might work. And if it doesn't work, I know what I have to do to make this work. Compare to tours reviews. I'm going to do the same thing I did as before. Get over here, format date, now, day, month, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now the drive's location is going to be, I'm not going to add a location, but you can choose a specific folder that you want it to be put into, and you just get a long list of your folders. Okay, so I think this is good. Now this should create this as a template, and then we can have these sheet names as well. So then all of these modules work, but we are, of course, going to test that right now. Right after, I'm actually going to auto align. Right after I add a condition here, a filter, I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I'm going to say if bundle order position is equal to total number of bundles in the iterator module. So bundle order position is equal to total number of bundles, and last bundle has been processed. Question mark. Okay, let's run this. Let's see what happens here. I think I'm going to get an error here, but maybe I don't. If I don't, that's a bonus. Again, I'm going to wait for this to finish and then get back to you guys. Okay, so it did error, and I know the issue for the error. I'm going to go to Google Drive. I'm then going to go new, Google Sheet, this error from template. And then I'm going to click blank spreadsheet. Now this can be a template. So now I'm going to copy all of this because this was just created as a normal Google Sheet, this one here, and it wasn't created as a template. Oh, we also got information put into here. So I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to add a sheet, name it that, copy this, add another sheet, name it this. Then I can copy all of this, and this. I'm also going to name it with this start here. There we go. Then I'm going to replace this module and say the template spreadsheet ID is going to be this in the URL. Copy that, paste it there, and now this should work because we've created this spreadsheet from a template. And it's not a normal spreadsheet like this one was. Also, now I think of it, we have to create this spreadsheet ID to be this spreadsheet ID here to make it dynamic instead of hard-coded. So let's do that. Spreadsheet ID. And also in here, let's say I'm going to say include this spreadsheet URL in your qualitative report. Include this spreadsheet URL in your report consisting of all the reviews. Oh no, this needs to be dynamic. Save, and we don't have access to it. Okay, so we don't have access to it because of this aggregator module. So essentially now this doesn't have access to this whole path, which is a bit annoying. But then these ones do because they're down a different route. So I have a workaround for this. I think, and the way I'm going to do this is by simply moving this module. I'm going to move it right after. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because I'll stuff up the iterator module here. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to get a bit fancy with it. I don't really like doing this at all. I don't like these paths, but I have to do it. Set variable, we're going to set the reviews, and then I'm going to set the text. Then here, I'm going to delete this because this can go. No. I'll keep this. I'll actually keep this. Bundle order position is equal to total number of bundles, and I'll also do the same filter right here. Go down to the iterator. Bundle order position is equal to total number of bundles. Right there. Let's save that. Let's then, before this, add a module. Go tools, get variable. The variable is going to be reviews. And then let's click save on that. We're going to go into here. And we're going to replace a dynamic variable down here for this new one, which is not there yet. So I'm going to save all of this. And I'm just going to reload this. Align again. I'm going to reload the page. Like Command S. Reload. Then this new module's dynamic variable should appear. Let's head into here again. Let's see what happens. Down here. There we go. Reviews under the get variable. Now, the spreadsheet ID, spreadsheet URL, sorry. Is this it? Create spreadsheet from template. Spreadsheet ID. Okay, so we have to construct the URL with the spreadsheet ID, but if you create a new sheet, you can see this is the URL. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy everything before this / edit part. I'm going to copy all of that. I'm going to head back to make.com, paste it in here. And then I'm going to delete this because this is the Google Sheet ID. And then I'm going to place the dynamic one right in there. And now we've constructed our own Google Sheet URL that can be placed within the email. And then once this has been created, I think now I want to send an email. I always tend to use this email built-in node, a module instead of the Gmail module because it's slightly faster. And of course, I love Spied. Like, it's slightly faster in sending the emails themselves. I want to save the message. Not sure. What account is this? Sent mail, okay, yeah. 2, I'm going to send it to myself. seb@savvyflow.com. The subject is going to be your new weekly digest Google Maps report is ready. The content is going to be plain text, and the content is going to be the result from ChatGPT. I also want to say the name this person is being sent to. So ChatGPT in the email can be like, "Hi Seb. You must start your email off email / qualitative report off with hi Seb. Hi Seb. There we go. Make it sound a little bit more personal. Okay. This looks a bit messy. That was also a little hack that I did because now this, for example, doesn't have access to any of these tools within the gray. But when you add a new route, all of these tools have access to everything within this gray area. But if you add modules after this aggregator, then everything after this aggregator does not have access to anything within this gray shaded area. But if you add a new route down a router, then these modules do have access to the dynamic variables in this gray area, just not everything, or just not any module after the array aggregator down like this path. So that's a little hack that you can use. That's why all of these had access to the dynamic variable there. Also, I just realized, yeah, spreadsheet ID. I was thinking that was meant to be a spreadsheet URL, but it's not. So let's run this, and I'm going to run this, and hopefully all of this works. I'm going to get to you guys once this is finished with the results. Okay, so I just came across an error, and I want to show you guys what this error is about. So when you create a spreadsheet from a template, you have to add tags, right? So within this template, we have to add tags. Tags meaning things in double quotes. And then I'm just going to write simply reviews. And that's all I'm going to write, I think. Because you have to have at least one tag. You have to have at least one tag within the template. Maybe I add it here. Maybe I try to hide the tag and I go reviews. And then I put it in white. I put the color in white so you cannot see it. And then you have a reviews thing here. So the reason you do this is because you have to have some sort of tag to create a sheet from a template in make.com. So I've added this review section, right? And then I'm going to say within here, the tag is this. Yes, I just came. Yes, that's a bit of an issue. So here you can see whenever you do two quotes like this and reviews, and two quotes again, it becomes this dynamic variable, but we don't want it to be a variable like that. We want it to remain in, not this one, I'll delete this sheet, in this kind of view, right? But like in just static text. But when you place this with double braces in here, it turns to this dynamic variable, but I just read. This must have changed recently. You don't have to add the curly braces around it, so I just have to write reviews. This must have changed recently. I mean, of course, many things would have changed. I haven't been using make.com for a little while now. But you used to have to add curly braces, I'm sure, and then I'd add a set variable before this, and then dynamically place the variable in. But I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Now the replaced value and the sheet ID. So the sheet ID, where's the sheet ID actually? So this is the spreadsheet ID. Is the sheet ID just 0? I think the sheet ID is just 0. I think it's this one after good because it changes here and it changes there. So I think it's just 0. The sheet ID is 0, I think. Replaced value. Do I need to replace this? No, I don't need to replace this. So I'm going to make this white so you cannot see it. And now, or I might just replace it with new report maybe or something like that. You can't see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But now I'm going to try this. I'm going to run this again and we'll get back to you guys again once this is finished. So I caught this as it was running. The scraper is finished and it's now run through everything is created a new Google Sheet from this template that we've created. Now it's analyzing the sentiment positive. There's only one review there. Only one review. Did I limit it to one? Value 5. You know what? Maybe I need to do. Actually, now I think of it. The reviews is empty, so there is a bit of an issue. Ah, interesting. What's in here now? Now the reviews show up. So what happened there? We have 2 bundles. So shouldn't this... In my mind, this should have run, and this should have run. So we have about 2 values of 5. So this is a bit of a problem. This runs twice. This runs once, though. Bundle order position is equal to total number of bundles. This runs only once, which is what you want. But this path runs 2 times. Hmm. What can we do here? I'm going to do a bit of thinking and get back to you guys. Okay, so I've done a bit of thinking, and I think I know how I'm going to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply move this Create Google Sheets by template, because this also runs 2 times, which we don't want. I'm going to move these 2 modules forward. And then I'm going to move this Create a Google Sheets outside of this gray space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this module for get variable. And then I'm going to unlink this and move these up here. And then I can probably also delete this. Attach this directly to the compiler reviews. These can be deleted, this filter. And then in here we would have to change some of the dynamic variables. Down here, the reviews is going to be changed to the aggregator node. We still have access to the spreadsheet ID now that we have taken it outside of this gray space here. Now this should also run only once, and I think this should be okay now. Make this look all nice, and then I'm going to run this and get back to you guys. Okay, so it finished running. We got this email with the qualitative reports, second one here. This is the one. Best regards, your name. That's just going to be my name. Or best regards, the automation team. So we ran this. You can see it's all run once now. This is all great and what we are looking for. We can see up here we got 2 positive responses that were added into a Google Sheet as we based the sentiment off as the AI analyzed. So there was no bad reviews or no negative reviews. Now, if we head back into this email, this is the final result. I really wouldn't want it to be any longer than this, no matter how many reviews are being analyzed. So this is good. And then we get a link to the Google Sheet itself. We can see the review. Maybe if there was no review, I'd like it to say no review, right? I'm going to do this, unbold all of these. I'm just unbolding all the rows in the table because here they turn to be bold, which might actually be because these are bold. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, so we get a link, Google Maps link to it. We can see open preview here. I don't actually want to open maps, but you can see here we've got the location, we've got the rating, 2 5-star reviews, and also the review. So you can imagine right now this isn't much data, but if you scrape more websites, more competitors, more businesses from Google Maps, you gather more links like I mentioned at the start, and then you add the links into here. You can get a long list of businesses and their reviews and then analyze only the last 7 days if you run this weekly, for example. Or maybe you want to run this monthly. I think monthly would be more insightful and more valuable because we saw that many of the reviews weren't 7 days old. So I think I'm going to add this to 31, which is roughly a month. Some months are 30 days, but I'll do 31. So we can gather possibly some more reviews there, and then what I'll do is I'll add again some more businesses, some more review URLs there to different competitors. And then every time we can schedule this to run once a week. Have I done that? No. So we'll schedule this to run, no, once days of the month. Every day, days, I guess days of the month. And let's go down to the bottom. Let's go to the 30th. Let's actually do the 30th. Because not all days have 31 days, but all days have 30 days. Except February, but who cares about February? Okay, let's go 10, let's do 11 p.m. 11 p.m. This is going to run at night on the 30th of the month. Let's not yet. So this is going to run once a month. When this runs, once you activate this, this will automatically run when this data has been scraped. It's going to collect all that data from all of the businesses you've scraped, add them to a Google Sheet for you to see, just like here. So you can see the exact reviews that has happened within the last 30 days of all of these companies. You could also add a company name. Wait, I just forgot. There is that field we put here. Not here. Let's leave this in the template. But you could put a company name here. Right, so you could identify the company name. That's probably something I'll look into adding. It shouldn't be too hard to add a company name. All you'll do is come back here. Company name, if you added it in D, company name should be here somewhere. Place name. And you just simply add this here. I'll add it here, just because. Because why not? Place name. And then map in the place names into column D. And then in the templates, we would have to move this review section to here. Unbold this, make it white again so you cannot see it. And let's do here. Company name, you cannot see it. Let's make this black and bold it. Let's go there. Now this will be the new new template. No. Let me just do this. There we go. Now this is the new template with the company name. So you can see if you have multiple company names, you'll also be able to see what company is this coming from, right? So that's a new field I'll add there. I think that would be valuable. And for the reviews that are blank, those people would have just left a rating and no text review itself. And you can imagine how you can start scraping a lot of data with this, and the more data you scrape, the more insightful it will be. I would also change the best regards. You might have to play around with the prompting a little bit to see exactly what you want. The prompting in ChatGPT, you'll just come into here, into the Create Email Digest module, and simply play around with probably this one here, this text content here, to say what you're looking for and what you want to see. Like, for example, I could do here, end your email off with cheers, the automation team at SavvyFlow. Cheers, the automation team at SavvyFlow. With this, let's make this look better. Cheers, the automation team at SavvyFlow. There we go. I think I like that. And there you have it, the Google Maps scraper with Bright Data, Make.com, and OpenAI, getting qualitative reports weekly, scheduled to be weekly, and full Google Sheets with all of the data you could possibly want with the reviews in there. Running this once a month. Did I say weekly then? No, once a month we've scheduled this to run, and you can add all of your competitors you want here, and it's pretty cool what you can do with these types of things, getting all of the data, scraping it with Bright Data for extremely cheap. It still surprises me how cheap Bright Data is. It's really quite cheap. And yeah, so it's cool the possibilities you can create with these tools now, and you have been for quite a while, and how easily you can build them by scraping all of Google Maps with Bright Data and make.com to connect everything together. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.